Believe it. And we're talking about poop today. We're talking about actually, um, the title is The Scoop on Poop or Getting a Scoop on Poop, something like that. But as I told you a couple of shows ago, I received here it is, this magazine in the mail because one of the many letters behind my name, I don't know if you can see that, is I have a master's in public health from the Johns Hopkins University. So I get the magazine. And in this magazine, there was an article about the title completely, the title on the cover is Sewage Science. I'm like, what are they talking about? And we talk about sewage and porta potties and things that we can find out about our water, specifically when they look at open porta potties and find thousands of intact supplements and capsules and that just never got into the systems of people they were supposed to be helping. And so we talk about absorption. You are not what you eat, you are what you absorb. So I expected something along those lines. But of course, it had to be a new twist since it was in a new magazine. But it was completely not what I expected. So I'm going to have great pleasure in bringing you this information today on how they are watching our wastewater. But before we do that, and actually we didn't talk about this, but I would love to bring our co-host or our fearless leader to the call, Mr. Terrence Hope, Enagic 6A distributor extraordinaire, certified holistic health coach, the vigilant, consistent, persistent health influencer and advocate to the stars and to the globe. Mr. Hope, are you with us today? And do you want to go first?
Once again, we have to push all the right buttons to get things going around here, yeah? And got some of my musical instruments in the back. I guess y'all don't know. Also a musician. I play a few instruments or two, you know what I mean? So I'm glad to be here as well. And I'm enjoying this, how do we call it, new technology. For all of those who are new to the call, we've been here on Condom Waters Radio on our Zoom call internationally in about 7 different countries for the past several weeks. Although for the past, several years, we've actually been on audio calls, and we've done calls, ranging from, subject matters of high blood pressure and diabetes and kidney failure issues. We've had guest hosts from time to time come and join us and share their own testimonies, as well as their science, health information experts who can give us details in different areas. And of course, I always like to stop and mention and be very thankful for the fact that we have Dr. Lisa Singletary here with us, who is providing us with a plethora of information that you oftentimes wouldn't find available. Being able to have a health professional with us who has a background, of course, in medicine, who has been experienced on the traditional pharmaceutical approach to medicine, and of course, being versed as a board certified physician in the understanding of science, anatomy, is able to allow us to put 2 and 2 together and understanding how nutrition, hydration, and detoxification also go along with our health and helping us with good health when it comes to approaching that with nutrition. Well, that's a bit of a reiteration, but approaching that with natural approaches, yeah? So we're very glad to have our illustrious Dr. Lisa Singletary here with us every week and giving all this great information. And of course, this is the Condom Water Health Information Call. as we feature it on Kangen Water Radio. And we're here to go over different details about your health and specifically about Kangen water. Now, for many years, many persons have not really understood truly what Kangen water is, how it works within the body, and how to use it properly. And I discovered that as I came through probably some mentors and situations where I got to learn a great deal of information on the science side, on the application side, and being able to put two and two together, was able to become much more thorough in the approach of how to use this water to help people. Yeah. What I found out later on was the average distributor who owned the Kangen water machine, who was sharing it, didn't have the same information. So, I want to make sure people have what they need to really benefit from the machines. All over the world, people have been using these units and getting very good results. But we can also help to optimize the results they get by having the proper information and understanding about them. And so I begin today at the illustrious beginning. Yes. So what is Kangen water? Kangen water, by science definition, is an electrolyzed reduced water. That's the definition of what Kangen water is. And so what is an electrolyzed reduced water? Electrolyzed reduced water is a water that is produced in a process, known as electrolysis. Yeah? Electrolysis is a process where water comes in direct contact with electricity. And when that occurs, you get a reaction. So if you can imagine a lightning strike, imagine that, hitting water. And in the process, the restructuring of the water at the molecular level, producing a number or a host of antioxidant molecules. So now, when you are drinking Kangen water, you're drinking a water that is now differing than your regular tap water or other types of water that you might find in bottles or wherever. Now you have a water that encompasses an antioxidant effect. So when you drink it, water, as it does, get to all of the cellular levels within the body. And of course, the body is made up of what? 75% water. Your bloodstream is made up of, mostly water. Different organs and different cells require water for all of their function. And so without water, you don't get the proper function you need, but with an antioxidant effect in your water, now you have a detox effect, an energizing effect that's in all of your organs and cells. And now your body can do something quite different than you may have witnessed, earlier. Now, throughout the body, you have the opportunity to get, trying to get something for you, by the way. You have the opportunity to get a detox.
Would you like me to put up the slide deck?
Oh, no, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. But thank you, though. Right. So here we are. This is what I've been trying to show you all along. You might see my eyes waving all over the place. The computer's trying to catch up to where we are. Yeah. So, water is up to what? 75% of your body. And the kind of water you have in your body will dictate the function. Now we're talking about an antioxidant water, yeah? And a type of water that can get into your cells and allow for a detox effect to occur. I'm trying to just get to one particular slide so I can show you something. So just imagine water being throughout your body and now having the ability to be more effective in its antioxidant effect. What we're really trying to achieve here with Kangen water is a detox effect. We're also getting, through a substance in the water that's produced, or an ion, a molecular hydrogen ion, and energizing of the cell. So now you have antioxidants in the water. You have, of course, water. You have molecular hydrogen, which is helping to boost your energy levels. Yeah. So you're able to now maximize your hydration in this kind of electrolyte reduced water, maximize your detoxification. And in that environment as well, maximize your energy. Your body in this state can be much more self-healing. Yeah. So the goal is to allow the body to optimize its function with a minimized presence of toxins. You know, traditionally, many people have referred to Kangen water as alkaline water over the years. And you may have heard this term used again and again. Oh, I heard alkaline water is good for you. Let me get some alkaline water. There's a phrase or terminology that's been going along with this. And that terminology is drink alkaline water, because Kangen water, although by science definition, is actually referred to as electrolyzed reduced water. But what's being said is alkaline water. Drink alkaline water, eat alkaline foods. Your body is alkaline, and therefore you'll be healthy. It's well-meaning. People have said this are well-meaning, and they were given that information, which wasn't very detailed to the specifics of what Kangen water was. And so they spoke that, trying to help you and try to make sure you have good information about these machines. But in fact, if you look back here, we're going to find something out. The body is not entirely alkaline. Yeah? Different organs throughout the body have different pH levels. Yeah? So if you notice here, looking at saliva, 6.0 to 7.4. What is pH? The power of hydrogen, the acidity or alkalinity of a substance. So there's a scale that goes from 0 to 14, yeah? And half of that is 7. So anything below a 7 on such a scale is considered to be acidic. Anything above a 7 on that scale is considered to be alkaline, yeah? So we look at the ranges of acid to non-acid or acid to alkalinity within the body. And here on the chart, what we see are there are different pH ranges throughout the body. So if one says that the body is alkaline, drink alkaline water, you'll be healthy, it's not quite accurate, though well-meaning, it's not quite accurate. So look here, the stomach tends to be more acidic, or below a 7, 1.5 to 4.0. The lower small intestines and large intestines can experience different pH levels depending on the stage of digestion, 4.0 to 7.0, 4.0 to 7.0. This is just below, of course, 7, and that's in the acid range, and that it can also neutralize in some cases. The stomach, 1.5 to 4.0. Over here, like I said before, the saliva ranging 6.0 to 7.4. So acid to alkaline, depending. So keep this in mind. The body is self-regulating. Your body is not shifting in pH by the alkalinity or the pH of what you're eating. So this is the reason why you can easily eat oranges, grapefruit, lemons, and limes. Those are considered acidic foods, yeah? You eat those foods, your body breaks them down to their nutrient levels and uses the nutrition to, once again, self-regulate and create energy to self-regulate the body functions. So we're not alkalizing the body, we're detoxing the body. So see here, once we remove high toxic levels in the body, we allow for a more toxic-free environment where the body, being self-regulating, will take care of itself. You know, some of the issues that occur in life, particularly in our industrialized food system nations, we're eating junk foods all of our lives from 2 years old. You know, birthday cake and potato chips and pretzels and soda, ginger ale, orange soda, orange crush, grape crush, whatever. Twizzlers and Skittles and, you know, all kind of candies. And, you know, where are these candies even on the food chain? And going through our lives from toddlerhood through our teen years upward until our 20s, 30s, 40s, we get this great accumulation of toxic load. Can the body sustain itself with that kind of toxic load? Well, the body is self-regulated, yeah? Well, we know that there's such a thing as illness or sickness, yeah? So where's that coming from? You could easily have a high toxic load that impairs the body's ability to maintain pH balance. Couple that with the fact that all these types of substances we take in don't really have full nutrition. So we're not getting full nutrition. So we're nutrition deficient, highly toxic, certainly probably not hydrated properly. And we're not in the state our body needs to be in to be healthy, yeah? Take a look at this. It's a nice little slide I like to use a lot. Would I put it? Sorry about that, skipping around. Come to me, come to me. Here you are. Where are you? I have the best little slide in Texas and it's hiding from me. It won't hide much longer. Where are you? Here we are, my woodland creatures.
The golden slide.
The golden slide, yes. So look at this. These creatures are out there in the forests in many countries, throughout the UK, in the United States, in Africa, and in Brazil. You'll see more, jungle animals, as we call them, hippos and rhinoceri and alligators and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, yeah. But think about these animals in the wild. I'm getting excited. My hands are moving. Notice how they don't have the illnesses that humans have. There's no high blood pressure to hear of, no heart disease, no kidney failure. Cancers are not known. But humans in the homes, at the top of the food chain, as we call ourselves, suffer from all these diseases. There's no dialysis center in the middle of the jungle or in the middle of the forest where these animals are lining up to get their blood flushed because their kidney supply. So why is it happening to humans? Animals in the wild are eating what they're designed to eat: produce and proteins. Yeah? And with that, they're completely healthy. If humans ate what we're designed to eat, we would also be completely healthy. But of course, we get advertised to by manufacturers who want to make a profit and what they can sell us. So we're eating things that are actually not food. What did I call them? Consumable matter. That could be anything, right? But you are taking things into our bodies for the profits of the manufacturer that don't do us any good whatsoever. There's no nutrition value. And you can target our senses, particularly our children. And we, as having been children, grow up with emotional ties to foods that are not good for us. So we want to go out and get all these things that are hampering our health long term. Yeah. So what we want to do is, as the slide might suggest, return to origin so that our body can get more of what it's designed to get. And we can be more in the state. You think of some of the people you might have heard about, like in what they call primitive societies, where they live off the land more, or some people who don't really spend a lot of time engaged with the modern, niceties of our modern world. They live on islands. They might live off the land a great deal more, but they don't have the same diseases. Take those same people, let them travel to America or one of the industrialized countries. And immediately within a 6-month period, they've got what? Diabetes, high blood pressure, all kind of things. How many times have you heard someone who's come from a tropical island and been healthy all their lives, living on a organic diet and land-based diet, and then move to a place like a USA and all of a sudden they got all kind of problems? Why is that? Because of what's going on in terms of food supply, let alone what's going on within the water, which takes me back to my first step, water. So there are a series of different chemical contaminants in water that can cause all kinds of health problems. So we need to be aware of this. There was an article some years ago in the New York Times that talked about the over 65,000 different types of chemical contaminants in our tap water here in the US, some of which that can cause cancer and are scientifically known to have done such. In the UK, particularly throughout London and that region, there's an amazing amount of chlorine in the water. And why is that? Because they're trying to kill a lot of toxins in the water. But you're picking up a lot of chemicals into your body that are accumulating over time. And with that, your body doesn't have the opportunity to release them. Remember this, toxins may get into the body, but they don't easily just release themselves unless you have a mechanism of detoxification. So we have to keep in mind that we need to hydrate, to flush our systems. We need to detox so that our body can eliminate these toxins. And we need to keep ourselves at proper nutrition, moving ourselves away from many of the types of foods that we have been eating traditionally throughout our lives. and getting back to those types of foods that are highly beneficial. I need to come over here one second. I want to show you something. Just one last thing, and I want to bring Dr. Singletary back on board. So right here is an article I'd like you to take a look at your leisure. Says here that tap water is legal, but may be unhealthy. Tap water is legal, but may be unhealthy. Yeah. This article came out as a headliner for the New York Times some years ago. It's dated here, December 16th, 2009. And I'll just read this paragraph as I go. The 35-year-old federal law regulating tap water is out of date. It's so out of date that the water Americans drink can pose what scientists say are serious health risks and still be legal. Only 91 contaminants are regulated by the Safe Drinking Water Act. Yet more than 60,000 chemicals are used within the United States. According to Environmental Protection Agency estimates, government and independent scientists have scrutinized thousands of those chemicals in recent decades and identified hundreds associated with a risk of cancer and other diseases at small concentrations in drinking water, according to an analysis of government records by the New York Times. But not one chemical has been added to the list of those regulated by the Safe Drinking Water Act since 2000. Other recent studies have found that even some chemicals regulated by the law pose risks at much smaller concentrations than previously known. However, many of the Act standards for those chemicals have not been updated since the 1980s, and some remain essentially unchanged since the law was passed in 1974. So we've got chemicals in our tap water. We are eating junk foods that are creating toxic buildup within the body. We don't have proper hydration. We're not familiar with proper nutrition, and we need to detox properly. Kangen water. Kangen water is an electrolyte reduced water that allows for an antioxidant effect, detoxing the body, and energizing the body at the same time to put you in a state where it can be more self-healing. Add to that proper nutrition, and you have a win-win situation of what your body truly needs to be healthy. I'm going to pause there, and of course, later on, we could go into a Q&A session. And Dr. Singletary, well, I'll pass the call to Dr. Singletary, who has some interesting subject matter for today for us to be aware of detoxification and its importance. Dr. Lisa Singletary, MD.
Mr. Hope, could you clarify something for me?
Yes, be happy to.
You said, I took notes, so let me make sure I quote you correctly. Can I infer,
please,
from what you said, that Orange Crush is not the same thing as orange juice?
Listen,
I just want to be absolutely clear.
Yes, yes. I don't want to rain on anybody's parade. And I know once I start talking about certain foods that are certain, happy, delightful things,
I'm so glad you left Snickers alone today.
I see. So, the thing about, quiet, as my Aunt Dorcas would say, quiet as it is kept. Orange Crush is not orange juice. Just like this, I'd like to let you know.
Let me write that down.
Yes. Orange Crush soda is not orange juice. And, as a matter of fact, people drink soda very liberally. From, 4 years old, we give it to our children at their little birthday parties. Anybody want some soda? Yeah, I want soda. Not realizing, the toxic effects that such a thing has. And soda, if we look up some of the research on it, and we're being honest about it, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, it can have an effect of deactivating your stomach acids. The body's pH could be thrown up so far because we're talking about an inorganic acid here. We're not talking about oranges or lemons or limes, which are acidic, but inorganic. We're talking about, but organic. We're talking about an inorganic substance when we talk about soda. So,
so can we take it just one more level?
Yeah, you go ahead. You watch what I'm coming back with.
What would you say as the comparison between, or which is better? Orange juice or eating an orange?
Oh, now you take me to another level.
That's another level.
Well, I would say eating the orange because you get that much more substance from it. You know, the fiber, the different aspects of it that can have benefits in the digestive system. You know, when we get to juicing fruits and vegetables, we break it down to the micronutrients that we can easily absorb for its benefits. But there's another aspect of why a fruit even exists, you know, and its nutritional value, its effect on the body, why we should be eating it. So juicing, great. You know, fresh juicing, wonderful. If we can also eat the fruits and vegetables as they have been provided, highly recommended.
Yeah, I only have I can't afford one, or I haven't made the buying purchase decision. But if I were a juicer, and I'm not a juicing girl, but if I were, I would definitely get a Vitamix or something that pulverizes the whole, you know, all the fiber into the final product, as opposed to a juicer that extracts the pulp.
Right.
But then, please, anyone that is in the hearing of my voice, if you've got good pulp recipes, I know people stick them into muffins and stuff. You know, we have to go back. We need to talk to Anita Prendergast. She might have some ways of sneaking some juicer pulp into some recipes or muffins or something. But what you said, Mr. Hope, the fiber and is a key component of the fruit. You know, there's a reason it's there. And also when you juice, yes, it makes things more bioavailable. It also makes that fruit sugar more bioavailable, and it hits your bloodstream much more quickly than if it's in, you know, those little teeny cellulose or, you know, plant wall packages of the actual fruit. So oranges over orange juice, orange crush, not even on that.
Very good, very good.
All right, so last question.
Okay.
You brought up the tap water article. I wasn't going to talk about I was not going to talk about people's tap water today.
Right.
But since we are here, where does the tap water come from?
Wow, you're asking me big time questions.
Having visited, as part of my master's in public health, sewage treatment plants, water treatment plants, you know, the whole process. Where does that tap water come from? Somebody's sewage upstream. Yeah.
Does it always have to?
You got to go way north.
You know, and you know, one of my relatives actually works for the water authority in Washington D.C. and you know, is in the water processing treatment plant from which all the water for the entire region around here comes from. Yeah. So I have at least seen it from a aerial view, you know, online to see where he was working.
I've been on the ground. I've smelled it. You know, I saw these little, this was in the sewer treatment plant. I mean, you don't even have to go to the plant to smell the plant. Come on. But I was at source ground zero, and I saw these really tall, really skinny metal tubes protruding from the ground. And, you know, I'm like, what's that? But every once in a while, there was a mist from the tube and you could smell some lemon. Like they squirt, you know, a scent every few minutes because it is.
I think we're about to scare some people with our water system. That's about to happen.
So yeah, I was very interested in getting a water filter after I visited both the sewage treatment plant and the water treatment plant. But so like I said, I've had an interest in, I won't say all things sewage, but you know, it caught my eye because I do have some experience personally with the science as well as with the actual location where they treat this stuff. So when I found this article,
And
or
this
just,
relates to also tap water or drinking water, sewage water, and then tap water. We're talking the same.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
And this also relates to tap water, going from sewage to tap water.
Yeah, the sewage output of one city, the output from the sewage after the sewage is treated, the output is put into a river like the Susquehanna. And that is the input from cities downstream. So yeah.
Hold your hats. Hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to get a little scary. Dr. Singletary.
No, but I wasn't talking about tap water today.
Oh, okay.
That was you.
Okay.
Tap water, not on the table today. We're talking sewage. We're talking wastewater. Okay. So let me see if I can find this. I pulled it up. I will. Try to share.
And we see your screen.
Do you see
Yes.
that?
Yes.
The pipes and the stuff.
Yes.
Okay. So here's the article, what our wastewater can tell us. Our sewage contains important biomarkers that can tell researchers about a community's diet, drug intake, and of course, this one made me do a double take, and even the presence of COVID-19. Fret not about potty talk when asking researcher Karsten Pressey, I don't know how you pronounce it, about an emerging subfield of epidemiology. So epidemiology is the study of, you could think of it as a study of epidemics, but it's a data analysis of what happens when certain diseases hit the population. So, and it's a subset of public health. And so we're looking at things from a community level, state level, a national level, not an individual level. Like, so tracking down whose potato salad made everybody sick at the picnic, right? Epidemiologists do stuff like that. So there's this new subset of epidemiology studying wastewater. Don't worry, you can talk to me about feces all day long. He goes on to explain that our wastewater, yes, the sewage that makes its way from toilets to treatment plants, contains important biomarkers that can tell researchers about a community's diet, drug intake, and even the presence of disease. Wastewater epidemiology dates back to the early 2000s, and until recently has largely been used abroad to monitor communities' use of illicit drugs. By collecting a pooled sample of a geography's wastewater, epidemiologists are looking not to an individual person's drug use, but rather to overarching trends, whether a city's nicotine use is up or down, for example, or when fentanyl is first detected in a region. It's a powerful tool because it doesn't rely on accurate self-reporting. He says surveys, yeah, people lie, right? They forget, but they lie. Surveys might not be as effective because people are not reporting or are underreporting or not reporting or not participating at all. Yeah, that's the other thing. A lot of people will not fill out a survey. This is an unbiased approach. Armed with accurate data, experts are better equipped to develop customized public health interventions, he says. In 2020, epidemiologists who were scrambling to track the spread of COVID-19 saw a new use for wastewater testing. By collecting samples from a wastewater treatment facility, or even farther upstream at the level of a neighborhood, researchers could potentially detect coronavirus outbreak before patients exhibit symptoms. In one notable case, the University of Arizona made headlines last summer when it detected the presence of COVID-19 in a dormitory by screening the sewage from each building. You gotta love universities. University officials were able to quickly test all 311 residents and isolate 2 asymptomatic positive cases, effectively stopping an outbreak before it happened. Yay, public health. What Arizona is doing totally makes sense because they're also getting trends in addition to detecting individual outbreaks. They're generating these charts where you can see the number of virus particles detected from sampling time to sampling time. And the advantage to this, let's say you're in a dorm, it doesn't matter if you detect 1 particle or 100 particles. If there was nothing there before, this shows you there's something there, which means there must be an infected person. When Johns Hopkins Homewood campus reopened this spring for in-person classes, environmental health and engineering professor Kellogg Schwab helped the university add wastewater testing to its arsenal of outbreak prevention tools alongside social distancing, and frequent saliva testing. Schwab and his team rely on a series of auto samplers, devices about the size of an igloo cooler that tap into the sewer lines of each residence hall on campus. Every hour or so, a pump on the auto sampler sucks a small sample into a sealed system. At the end of the day, the researchers have what's called a composite sample, an accurate representation of everything that flowed through the pipes over the course of the day. From there, the sample is concentrated, purified, tested, using the same test you get tested with. The hope is that wastewater testing can not only detect outbreaks in individual residence halls, but also warn officials of a new wave of infections, alert them to new virus mutations, and help direct the best use of limited resources. I'll just finish this. The pooled approach could be a tool for us to say, where do we really need to have a focused area where everyone needs additional testing, or our intervention is working pretty well, our baseline's working, nothing's absolute, don't get me wrong, it's a powerful tool, but not a silver bullet. Researchers caution that wastewater epidemiology, whether used to monitor illicit drug use, COVID-19, or even a community's consumption of green vegetables, is still a new and imperfect process. Well, that could be said about a lot. Among the considerations researchers must take into account, a factory or cancer clinic upstream could lead to higher than normal levels of pharmaceuticals in the wastewater. Chemicals in the wastewater could interact with other compounds and degrade as they make their way towards the treatment plant, which then makes your tap water. I didn't say that. Heavy rain. This was scary to me. A heavy rain event could impact the concentration of a particular biomarker in the sample. Well, a heavy rain very much affects the functioning of the sewage treatment plant. It's scary. Okay, so yeah, I think that's about it for this article. But yeah, that was really an eye-opener for me. That and not only that, if you look a little deep, or you continue the research, this is really picking up as far as and it's all that money. What are they spending the money on? This is some of the things they're spending the money on, and this one isn't bad because, like I said, people lie, poop doesn't. So you mentioned on one of your slides, Mr. Hope, and this is also a very important thing.
Yeah.
That because some people looking at the title of this talk today might have thought I was talking about individual poop, and might want to have some information about that, and that's going to be a different call. I might call it poopology. I don't know, but stand by for the name. We'll discuss it. But when you said that 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated.
Mm.
Okay. So what are the main issues with individual people's poop? Usually it's either diarrhea or constipation. So I did look up the prevalence, of diarrhea and constipation, which one happens more. And I found some very interesting stuff. I remember back in the day, I won't say how long ago it was, hearing statistics about the elderly, and that over 70% of the elderly are chronically dehydrated and suffer from constipation, clinical by clinical standard definition. And 14%, only 14% had diarrhea, as opposed to 70%. And some of those 14% have something called paradoxical diarrhea, which is really bad. So they had impacted stool in their colons that will not pass. And so the new chyme comes around and goes around that blockage and comes out as diarrhea. I've dealt with it. It's not pretty. So, oh boy, I still remember the names of some of my patients. One of them was in a full body cast. Okay. But interestingly enough, people with diabetes tend to have more problems with diarrhea than with constipation. And I think that's because of the osmotic effect of the sugar in their bodies that eventually does get to their colons, pulling fluid from your cells. So they're dehydrated and having diarrhea at the same time. And it can be a vicious cycle leading to all kinds of things, such as ketoacidosis. Okay. I'm your virtual keto coach, and anyone who's done keto knows there's an adjustment period as far as your bowel movements. And some people have problems with diarrhea on keto. Some people have problems with constipation on keto. And that's why really it's not something you should do on your own. You really should have a coach so that people who've made the mistakes or done the research or, have some good weapons in the weight warfare at hand can help you. But with any new diet, if you're trying to go vegan, or if you're, any new diet that you're attempting, guess who has to adapt? Your gut microbiome. Okay. So, but then you find, you give your microbiome time to adapt, or you take some awesome prebiotics, probiotics, etc. Give up the Skittles, man. Just don't even go there. And your body, including your microbiome, will adapt.
Dr. Singletary, you've actually inspired me in a couple of directions here. And I know we've got to go to Q&A shortly. But if I can do a quick summary review on just a couple of topics and then lead into that.
Yeah, where are you? I can't find you.
You can't see me on video, you mean?
Wait, I'll find you. There you go.
You have the thousands of people there. I'm not looking at everybody. I gotta get to see everybody out there, but I'm here. So yeah, you definitely inspired a couple of areas. I'm gonna try to do a quick summary. And then if we can go to Q&A, I think that's where you were going. And that is this. So, when it comes to tap water, great things for us to be aware of about what's going on with it. There was a section of that same article from the New York Times, just give me a quick review, that talked about substances that have been found in the tap water. And I recommend, once again, everyone take your time, go do a little research link on this here article. That tap water is legal, but may be unhealthy, because what they're saying is there are certain laws that don't require certain things to occur for your water to be healthy. And there's only maybe a limited amount that they have to be careful of that's not getting into your water. But they're still in the water. And the problems with contaminants in the water is that you could get contaminants into your cells, but they don't release very well. So for instance, here, as I'm quoting the article, the drinking water standard for arsenic, a naturally occurring chemical used in semiconductor manufacturing and treated wood, is at a level where a community could drink perfectly legal water, and roughly 1 in every 600 residents would likely develop bladder cancer over their lifetimes. That's according to studies commissioned by the EPA and analyzed by the New York Times. Many of those studies can be found in resources section of the New York Times, and under that heading there, nytimes.com/water. That level of exposure to arsenic is roughly equivalent to the risk that a community would face if every person received such amount of x-rays. Isn't that almost 2,000 x-rays? And in some places, tap water contains not just one contaminant, but dozens. More than half of the systems analyzed by the Times had at least 7 chemicals in their water, but there is nothing in the law that addresses the cumulative risks we highlight of multiple pollutants in a single glass of water, as some public health advocates have urged. So we want to be aware that there are things in our tap water, which is why I highlight that, and things that we have to be aware of, that the importance of filtration. You know, even as we talk about today, water treatment plants, and their job is to, filter water down and to expel to expel toxins and bacteria from your water. That process will also lead to the use of many chemicals to achieve that goal. And so those chemicals will still end up in your water. And then of course, there's a series of chemicals which is not required to be removed from your tap water. So you, let's say in the United States and perhaps throughout the UK, with the high chlorine levels, you may have a minimization of bacteria in the water, but there's a high degree of different types of chemicals. And those chemicals can lodge in the cells and cause different health problems. And as we saw in that article from the New York Times, they specifically talked about cancers. Sometimes people worry about where these types of things come from. Could it be your tap water at home? Many people drink bottled water as a way to be safe from their tap water contaminants. But even if people drink bottled water, which of course have issues in themselves, everyone cooks with tap water. And because everyone cooks with tap water, they don't realize the problem. What did I think about tap water once upon a time? I thought that, well, if I'm boiling it, if I'm heating it up, I'm going to kill whatever type of bacteria is in it or whatever problem is in it. And that might be true for bacteria, maybe. However, you cannot boil out chemicals. So instead, when you're cooking, the chemicals are actually absorbing into your food. And when you sit down to eat your meal, your meal is chemically filled, chemically contaminant, and you're not aware of that. Yeah. I turned my attention just very briefly to something that I talked about just very briefly about Kangen water. Just once again as a review, that Kangen water. One thing we want to do is we want to change our water, because when we change our water, we can certainly change our life. Yes, which is why we talk about Kangen water so much, and why we talk about filtration importance. We also, realize that these are some of the machines that produce the Kangen water. And there are different levels of detoxification that we receive when we drink the different pH levels on our machines. Our pH levels are only an indication of the volume of antioxidant molecules within the water. So when we talk about pH, we're just talking about 8.5, 9.0, 9.5, and the volume of antioxidant molecules present in the water. Yeah, I mentioned earlier that the Kangen water should be looked up and researched as an electrolyzed reduced water, not alkaline water, because there's two different things. And there's more than one way you can make a water alkaline, but there's only one or few ways that you can make a water as an electrolyzed reduced water with an antioxidant effect. I said that electrolysis is the process that produces the electrolyzed reduced water, and that it is produced in an electrical process where electricity comes in direct contact with water. When you hit water with electricity, it produces an antioxidant molecules. So I always start with H2O as the water molecule. We hit that with electricity, and then we get a plethora of different reactions that occur that will then produce antioxidant molecules within your water. The article that I showed you earlier mentioned cancer, and that there were incidents that they could point to where cancers have occurred, and even where they could begin to track as Dr. Singletary is talking about, tracking what's coming out in terms of sewage, but also tracking what's actually in your tap water in various regions, and be able to determine that in some cases, people can also develop cancers from their tap water. And that's not to really be doom and gloom and really scary everyone, but to keep everyone in mind that the importance of filtering your water is very high, and that even at the highest levels of filtering or decontaminating water at water treatment centers, you're asking a lot, or we're asking a lot, from water to travel from a water treatment center, 30 miles away from your home, through 30 miles of pipe, or in some cases 100 miles of pipe, depending on how far this water is going to go, and for that to be completely healthy all along the way, with everything that could potentially build up in these pipes over a decade, 2 decades, 5 decades. How often are we going down and digging up pipes and relaying water pipes? Not that often. So you have 50-year-old pipes coming into a home that could be anywhere from 20 years old, 50 years old, 100 years old in some countries or more, and expecting that water all the way to your faucet is going to be in a state that's healthy for you. So we want to always remember that it's important to filter at the site. When we talked about cancer and cancer risks, there's a call that we do called the 5 steps of cancer diagnosis and treatment. We talk about 1, a person is diagnosed with cancer. 2, they have a treatment form, chemotherapy, radiation, or surgery. 3, they often will, one of those methods, oftentimes, if the person is continuing to sustain themselves, see a remission of those cancers. Yeah. Step 4 is a key thing we talk about, and that is a recurrence. People don't get to understand that chemotherapy and radiation as a treatment, while it is toxic to the cancer cells, can also leave that toxicity in the body, and that residue could lead to a pH imbalance, nutrition deficiency, and depletion that could also lead to tumor growth. Yeah. So that another term you could write down, cancer cell metabolism. Cancer cell metabolism, also known as the Warburg effect. The Warburg effect, W-A-R-B-U-R-G. And this talks about the environment in which cancers can develop. It also talks about an approach that can be taken to inhibit the metabolism of a cancer cell without interfering with the metabolism of a healthy cell. So the Warburg effect, cancer cell metabolism, if you write that down and take a look that up. So chemotherapy radiation can lead to an environment that can cause cancers. You might often hear of people who have experienced tumors and gone through the experience of getting chemotherapy and so forth, and they see a point at which there's a remission. And at some point in the future, after there's a successful outcome with a remission, 6 months or a year later, they might also see a recurrence. Now, the explanation that's often given is that the recurrence may be coming from the metastasis of the original tumor. But most likely that original tumor didn't survive that onslaught of chemotherapy that went through your body, nor the radiation that you were hit with. And very well, most likely, the tumor growth that you're seeing later on in what's called a recurrence are new tumors produced from the environment of the chemotherapy itself and radiation. So we often recommend a high detoxification regimen, where if you're choosing or electing to take a chemotherapy, you're detoxing the body to expel that toxic residue from the chemotherapy. Also, highly recommend getting on a nutrition regimen to ensure that, especially with supplementation, you are restoring the microbiome and nutrient levels in your body on a daily basis when in the presence of chemotherapy and radiation. While it is good for you to have proper nutrition all the time, it is imperative that you have proper nutrition and supplementation during any kind of cancer regimen. Yeah. Think of it back to the animals in the wild, eating produce and proteins and are completely healthy. Chemotherapy can remove those nutrients that are in your body and leave you in a vulnerable state. You want to restore that, detox, nourish, so your body can stay at the optimum rate, because ultimately whatever is happening, your body is more self-healing than not. Yeah. So I'll pause there. And just one last thing. So I talked about cancer. I said that there were 5 steps that I talk about There's the diagnosis, there's a treatment, chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. There's a remission. There's sometimes a recurrence because of the chemotherapy and radiation itself. If one gets past these steps, watch out for the recurrence, because if not properly dealt with proper nutrition and detoxification, it can lead to tumors that can grow throughout the body later on. The doctors will call that in an inoperable state, where there's no further work that can be done. Hospice is usually what's recommended. Hospice is something much more than I ever realized early in life and came to be aware later on. But hospice is just morphine and painkillers that remove the brain's connection to the major organs, and that would interrupt the self-regulating aspect of the body. The word I like to use, my brain got stuck. But your brain operates your breathing, your heart rate, different aspects of the body. Involuntary action. Thank you. The involuntary action that occurs in your body is being conducted by your brain, but morphine and those types of pain-killing drugs given long-term can shut that down. And what you see in hospice is a person basically being put to sleep by morphine and those types of drugs. Not necessarily a treatment that's going to help them get better. You want to avoid that step. Morphine can be something that's hard to get past. But if you can nourish, hydrate, and detox anywhere along the way, if one is dealing with a cancer, you give your body the better opportunity to be in a healthier state to operate and to navigate that type of health issue. Okay, so I'll pause with all that. Big, gigantic summary, but
that was a summary of about 200 of our calls. So I'm glad you were so inspired on the topic today. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I could go on, but I want to see what our live
audience.
Yes, our live audience is inspired to ask. So I will hit the button that says you may unmute yourselves. Oh, that's already done.
Okay.
You can raise your hand by raising your hand visibly if your camera's on, or you can raise your hand within the Zoom. And I don't know where to tell you where it is.
Right. So they can come in and ask a question, or just unmute yourself if you have a question. We'll take one at a time as you come in. Raise your hand in the little chat box there somewhere.
Oh yeah, the chat. I forgot about the chat.
Yeah.
Type the question right in.
Have a question right in the chat. We'll see that there. Let's see what I got here. I'll say hi to everyone in the chat. Hi, everyone in the chat. Hi. I'll say hope here so you all can see where the chat box is. And you could follow suit. That goes out to everyone. We'll see your question. Raise a hand if you see that icon on your page, or just unmute yourself and ask a question. We'd love to take your question, hear what you have to say. And I think I do see someone is unmuted. I see a Richard on our board. Okay, Richard Ryle.
It's not Richard. It's not really Richard. It's Tracy. You know, it's Tracy. I'm not Richard.
All right. You're not Richard, Tracy. There we go.
Hello.
Welcome aboard, Tracy.
Hello, Terence. We've spoken much over the last few days, so I've got lots of already answered questions from Terence. One of the things I'd like to touch on from the conversation today, you know, the gut microbiome, and we've got to get it where it needs to be. If I was having what I would consider to be a highly nutritious diet, just to explain, I have cancer and I don't intend on going down the usual route of chemotherapy, etc. I want to go naturally to heal myself. And I know that obviously the health of the gut is extremely important to this. Now, if I am drinking my Kangen water and the amount I should be drinking on a daily basis, plus I'm obviously, you know, plant-based totally, no meat, no wheat, no alcohol, no dairy, etc. So I'm plant-based, and also taking in an awful lot of nutrition through smoothies and juices, my Vitamix actually, and also I've also got a masticating juicer. So I'm doing as much as I possibly can. So would I then have to take something else, some sort of supplement to try and balance my gut microbiome, or would the diet and the water be sufficient to eventually get me to that place I need to be?
Who's up? Me or you, Dr. Singleton?
I'm holding back. I'm holding back.
Well, she's heard a bit from me. I'll yield the floor to you for now, and then I can follow up.
Okay, so
yes,
kudos for being number one, open to another way, right? Yeah. Than the way I was initially taught, the allopathic way. That's only one small part of medicine, and there's a whole world of medicine out there. And I really applaud your decisions as far as your, being plant-based. I'm not anti-meat, but I definitely understand, and we talked about that multiple times. When you are plant-based, you have to be very, very, very careful to get all of the essential amino acids that you need. And so that requires a mixing and combination of foods. So, I'm sure you've done that research, but we have calls where we've addressed that.
Quite a bit, yeah. Because I just to briefly tell you, we've already had this within my family already. My little grandson had a brain tumor when he was 18 months old, and he was given like no hope. It was inoperable, and chemo was the answer straight away. And my daughter and her husband decided not to do that, and to just give him a no sugar plant-based diet. And of course, at 18 months of age, he had no stress, no worries or anything. So, and they said it wouldn't work. And here he is, he's going to be 10 this year, and that tumor shrunk down and they just discharged him, said we don't need to see him any longer. So I've had first-hand experience. I mean, I've read books about people that have done it. I've been on the internet, I've seen people, but having it right here in my family and watching it for real, when we were terrified that he was going to, it was going to be dreadful. And it isn't. And so I've seen it, and now I kind of believe it for myself, and that's where I'm at with it. So we have done, I do know an awful lot about taking meat, and I'm not anti-meat, and I was eating meat 3 months ago. It's just that now, because I've had my diagnosis, I've thought, right, I need to clean up as best as I can. So I've just automatically gone to the place we had with Henry, which was, yeah, let's do this. Let's just don't go totally plant-based, but also think about what we're doing, because you lose quite a bit from not eating your meats and your eggs, etc.
Right.
Yeah, and if you do incorporate meats, it's very important that they were plant-based. So it's very important to get organic, grass-fed, grass finished, free range, and part of my same epidemiology course, I had to drive cattle from one field to another on a sustainable farm. And, I've seen a lot. So anyway, but as far as supplements, couple things. Number one, you can't out-supplement a bad diet. I'm saying that for everybody else on the call. And here, I'll bring your pen back if you want, Mr. Hope. You can't out-supplement a bad diet. So cleaning up the diet, and we do have a list of good foods and bad foods, and you've named the top food on the list, gluten. I think you did.
Yeah, I've got wheat's gone. Yeah.
Right, you said.
And gluten. Yeah.
So wheat, barley, rye, oats, got to be gone. Fried foods.
Oh, oil. I did not cut out the oats, because I'd still have that. So is that got to go?
Oats have to go.
Gotta go. I'm writing it on my list. Gotta go.
What were we cutting out?
Oats, no.
I'm going to mute you, Mr. Hope.
You muted me.
Okay.
I said I'm going to.
Don't mute me. What oats? Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wheat, barley, rye, oats. Now, what about gluten-free oats?
Mm-hmm.
They don't exist.
So is spelt? Is that got to go? Spelt too? That's
Spelt.
going?
Spelt is good.
Oh, spelt's good.
Buckwheat, quinoa.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I have some spelt bread that we have like from a vegan supermarket near us. I mean, in America, you have so much of this. Here, we have very little availability, but there was spelt bread, and I just got that. I thought, oh, great, I can have some toast. So I got it. Maybe.
I think let me double check the spelt. I'll double check it. And you watch the label too, but as gluten is the enemy, number one, because gluten affects your intestines, it causes inflammation, and it doesn't let your intestines absorb the nutrients that are in the food, that might be in the food. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's gluten that's got to go. And why are there no gluten-free oats? Well, what is gluten? Gluten is, and we got a call about this, several. So I want to remind myself to send you or to make available to you our call topics log, because all 300, and this is call number 390. I didn't say it earlier. We're 10 away from 400.
Yeah.
But we've got the calls available to you in our log with one click availability. So
that's great.
You can email us or text us, or, however we get your contact information, we can make that available. Maybe I can put that in the description of the YouTube when I upload this to YouTube, to the replay. I'll try to remember to do that. I think I can do that. Okay. So what is gluten? Gluten is a part of the plant defense mechanism. It does not want to be eaten. So it has this protein, it's a plant protein, to give other organisms trouble when they try to eat it. And oats, I should say, they have a protein, a defense protein that is a cousin of gluten. Wow. It's not gliadin. It starts with an A, but it does the same thing in the intestines as gluten. So yeah, oats are not good. No fried foods, no oils, no processed meats. You've got rid of the meats altogether.
Can I just ask about the oils? No oils whatsoever. Oh.
If you're in Italy and you've got an olive tree in your backyard, crushing the olives and getting that oil out is the healthiest thing you can do. But once that oil is exposed to air, it starts to turn rancid a little bit at a time. So we're playing with fire, basically, by using oils. Butter is okay.
That's affecting the heart, no?
Yeah, it causes inflammation in the body. The rancid, once it starts oxidizing, it develops trans fats. And you can smell it, when sometimes you can, when you open up a jar of oil, you can smell the oil, but then there's something like that's off. So if the oil, what you want to do, I don't know if anybody does this, I don't know, but I have asked if they process the oil, and I'm thinking of olive oil right now, if they processed it in a nitrogen-rich, oxygen-free environment, so there's no oxidation, and sealed it into airtight packs in individual aliquots, that would be perfect. So it's not the oil. The problem is not the oil. The problem is the mixing of the oil and the air. So if you have a bottle that has a layer of oil and then a gap where there's air, oxidizing is going on inside of that bottle.
Oh.
Now, what I do, because, I go through periods of just wanting to use some oil for some, I love butter, butter, grass-fed, grass-finished, free-range butter is good. But if I want to use it, if I bought, like I wanted to try avocado oil just because I heard about it and I saw it on the shelf. And I was like, But, you know, when I opened the lid, I knew it was turning. But what I did is I sliced up some garlic and put it in the oil. And I just was hoping that the antioxidant effect of the garlic would fight the effect of, but I ended up throwing it away anyway. So yeah, oils, you don't want to mess
with. That's
also
a real major wishful thinking right there.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to do it the Italian way, right?
Sure.
The Italians do that. They'll put cloves of garlic in their oil, but their oil also was on a tree in the backyard, or at least, you know, it was in country for a much shorter period of time. It wasn't traveling. Now, I have seen boutique brands of olive oil that I haven't tested their transit time, but I thought, you know, if I were going to really need an olive oil, I would look for this brand. They talked about the freshness of it and the, you know, the quality and da da da. But you know, there's so much marketing today. Best leave the oils alone. Of all the oils that I've looked at the shelf life, I've looked at stability. I would say, and I see that Gloria asked a question, that coconut oil is, I'll say it's one of the most stable as far as having a shelf life. And, but I just can't think of a time when I would choose coconut oil over a good butter. But if all you have is, you know,
right. And then the contrast
market butter, then I might go for the coconut oil at that point.
And the contrast there between animal fat as in use in cooking as opposed to oil, as I recall some teachings from Dr. Joel Wallach, but that the animal fats we eat meats, and those were healthier than actually going for the oils because of the issue with the oxidation and the
well, yeah, they're the polyunsaturated, you know, oils are very unstable, so they're highly susceptible to chemical reactions such as oxidation, as opposed to the monounsaturated, and then as opposed to the saturated. So there's a deeply ingrained marketing agenda behind oils, butters, Crisco, which is, I shouldn't have named it brand, but yeah.
And that transition that occurred back in the 1950s or 60s, where people went from using butter or animal fats for their cooking to oils. You know, definitely a lot of marketing to try to get a new market opened up. And you couldn't get grandma and mama to stop, you know, cooking with the animal fats and butter. So you had to create something. I recall something about oils, and there was these articles about oils and about butter, how they create heart disease or inflammation and things like that, which was not the case for millennia, you know, but also 1960, it's a problem. And then there was the introduction, well, don't eat this butter. You know, I'm going to say it, you know, now you're cooking with Crisco. This one's healthier. And
butter flavored the Crisco.
Yeah.
But back to supplements. Okay, so supplements. Here's the key: you need minerals. There are 60 essential minerals that you need. In most supplements, you'll only find, I'll say 15 to 20. If that's a good one. Has 15 to 20. But there's 60. Now, there are places on the earth that have all of those supplements in the earth. And then, for instance, in the Great Pacific Northwest, they have volcanic eruptions. All the minerals were in the volcanic ash. And that's why the apples and everything are huge out there. Someone from Washington talked about a mini apple, right? And she showed this miniature apple, and it was like the size of a normal apple out here. I don't know. So Loma Linda, the blue zones, right? The minerals that you need are in the soil, but they are not uniformly dispersed in the crust of the earth. So you have to hedge your bets, you have to supplement, and you have to supplement with a complete supplement. And we can help you with that. More information on that as well. But we're here for you.
Yes.
Tracy.
Brilliant.
Tracy.
Yeah.
We are here for you. We're going to pray for you, and we will help you. Whatever questions you have, however we can help you, we want to help you on this journey. So all of the knowledge that I have, I will make it available to you.
Mm-hmm. And I see
Thank
you getting
you.
prayers.
I really appreciate that. That is lovely to know that I've got people on my team now. Yeah,
that's right. We're Team
really
Tracy.
And I now know I should my oats, no more oats, because I was having some oats in my smoothie, and now that's got to go. So that's good to know. And gluten is the enemy. Absolutely. True. That's what it is. I've got that down here. I know what's going on. Yeah.
Right.
Brilliant.
And Tracy, behind you, I see something like a backdrop. Is that the beautiful backdrop?
Do you like this? This is not my backyard, you know that? This is a mural, you know, for the wall. But this is part of the Lake District, and it's in the sun. And we just had it because it's a place we go to.
Right.
For calm and peace and just walking in nature and whatnot. And it's our favourite place. So, I'm going to get out of the way a minute.
Love it.
There's a big lake here.
Nice.
I just had it made into wallpaper. So
love
it's on the wall, you know?
Right, yeah.
Even when you're not there at the lakes, you can look at it. It's just in the office. It's not, you know.
So I appreciate you doing that. You're basically taking us on a tour of the beautiful countryside of England, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Best parts, yeah. Because it's, as I said, it's in the Lake District, Lake District, north of the country. It's fabulous.
You know what, Tracy, you gave me a great idea. I think for the future, we'll recommend that people, because I think some of these Zoom calls have some sort of magic backdrop they can digitally put behind us. And maybe we'll have a backdrop of the country we're from, because I love being on the call. We're represented from all over the world. I see representatives on here from Dubai and of course throughout the UK. I see some from Nigeria. I see, of course, from America and across the States. You know, so, you know, we love the fact that our call has become so international and that we've got people from all over the world, because it is one big gigantic family out here trying to stay healthy, get the right information we need to be well, and share that amongst each other to support one another to go forward. So I appreciate you, Tracy, coming in from the UK. And
well, it's great because it's also when you sometimes, especially like this last few weeks, I've felt kind of a bit alone, you know, although no, because obviously with what happened with my family before, my family kind of, yes, let's do this. Let's not go down the treatment route. Let's do this naturally like we did before. But other people are kind of, what are you doing? That's madness. That's crazy. So it's nice to know here I am meeting total strangers and I've got support already. And I just, you know, somebody's like, "Yay, Tracy, go for it." And it's really nice to know that you have that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's exciting for me. It really is.
Yeah. Well, even have people that can speak to you and go over some of their experiences one-on-one. We work with people and we do that on an individual basis, you know. For you. So
I'm not very experienced with all this Zooming, I can tell you. This is new to me, so I've got to learn what I'm doing.
We had to get used to it.
I'll do a little course in the week and I'll be on next time. What I'm doing. Just thinking if I had any more questions, but I don't want to be completely monopolized.
No, if you have another question, we'll take a little more time, you know, when we're thorough.
Let me tell you, I don't know what Orange Crush is. What's Orange Crush? I don't know what that is. What is that?
It's an artificially orange flavored soda pop.
All right. It's not like what we used to have here at Sunny Delight.
There you go. It's
Sunny Delight. Sunny Delight is like a drink. Orange Crush is a popular, at least in the American East Coast, soda. You know,
in a can
with bubbles.
Well, it could be in a can or on a bottle, but it's it's soda like a soda pop, like a ginger ale or anything else, but it's orange flavored, and it's called Orange Crush. So it's like it's pretty popular amongst
I think actually Fanta. Do you have Fanta orange?
Yeah, we do.
It competes with Fanta.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Orange Crush and Grape Crush. Yeah. Yeah. And I appreciate those who are sending prayers out. I say, may God continue to bless us with all life's precious moments together with your loved ones. That was to you, Tracy. So I see.
You see, because I don't know what I'm doing, I can't see that, but I will.
All right. Well, we'll share. And we'll show you how to get on there with the chat in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you to everyone who's joined us today. Did you have any more questions? I'm sorry, Tracy.
No, I have thousands of questions, but then this call will go on forever. Don't let me get in there because I'll never stop.
Like I said, we're here for you.
Heavens knows.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll get in touch with you between calls.
Can I ask you one poop question?
Have that.
One poop question. You ready?
Sure. Yeah.
Because you're obviously an expert on pooping. You know the pooping situation. Sorry, Terence, but I've got to ask. What is a healthy? No, I don't mean how many times? Is once a day healthy? As clockwork, or should you go after every meal? When do I know where I'm at my optimum pooping session sort of thing?
I have two answers for you.
Okay.
One is, I'm not going to pull this up, but you can Google the Bristol stool chart.
The Bristol stool chart. I'm going to write
Bristol, BRISTOL, stool chart. And they have rated poops from a scale of 1 to 7. And a 3 to 4 range is normal. So you'll see, you'll be overly pooped.
I'll be on that. That's great Saturday evening viewing, isn't it? But
the other answer I have for you is this. Well, it's not the other answer I have for you, but it's in this article. So if I just share my screen just for a second. So I searched foods that help you poop when you're constipated, because constipation seems to be much more of a problem than diarrhea. And the first line of this article, which is in mindbodygreen.com, says, if you're having fewer than 3 bowel movements per week, the US Department of Health and Human Services defines that as constipation. So you don't necessarily need one every day, according to the US Department. However, you will find people that say, yes, at least once a day. You'll find people that say every meal, every, poop. So you have to see what your body does and what your microbiome dictates, because you got 100 trillion cells in there, bacteria and whatnot, and they adjust depending on what you take in. So, that's, some of that is self-awareness, but the Bristol out of Australia, they did this chart and may be helpful, but listening to your body is the main.
Yeah. And then you'll find when you're on Kangen water that it does help you to detox well. So you drink, I always recommend 1 liter 4 times a day for a person, let's say 9 stones or more. And in the US terms, that would be 125 pounds or higher. So that, your body can detox well. And then generally you would stay at 75% of your body weight in ounces, a day. So at 11 stones, 10 stones, you're talking about 4 liters a day. So, or 4 quarts. So you start in the morning before you have breakfast or anything else, 1 liter or 1 quart. Do that again around 12 noonish before lunch, 1 liter. Mid-afternoon, 3, 4 p.m., something like that, 1 liter. And then before dinner, And if your dinner should be 6 to 7 p.m., somewhere around that, not too late, 1 liter. And then you're detoxing throughout the day, allowing your body to stay at balance. And you'll probably find yourself going to the bathroom more often for sure. And if you're eating throughout the day, you'll probably see yourself going to the bathroom, on cycles throughout the day as well. Sometimes they might see that, 2 to 3 times a day if you're eating 3 times a day, or somewhere within that. So, and of course, that will keep it a good detox level, great hydration is going on, and your body's able to really keep those mechanisms at equilibrium. So,
You've led me to another last question. Like you sometimes read or you hear, and don't have too much water because it dilutes down the digestive enzymes. So at 4 liters, is that okay? Because, is that just nonsense that I've read? So don't go over too much water. Or is...
We're not, okay, so yeah, you're not drinking the water with food.
No.
Right? You're drinking it,
so that's the answer.
Like an hour before.
It's always on an empty stomach. So when you first rise, before breakfast. Yeah, before. So then your food's coming in after. Right. Yeah.
And that level is, we're talking 8.5 water.
We are 8.5 pH.
8.5. Oh.
Everybody starts at 8.5 pH. Everyone starts at 8.5 pH. And I recommend that.
I'm super excited about getting my machine, Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to get my machine. I am.
Awesome. And that is the full detox, basically. You could cut to 3 liters a day once you're at maintenance, but we want to detox you and hydrate you initially, but we don't want to over stress your body's detox system or your elimination systems. So we keep it at 8.5, particularly if someone is overweight or if someone has a lot of toxins in their body for some reason or another. So keep it 8.5.
Yeah, and 8.5 for at least the first 30 days, and then you can look at the 9.0. Try to keep that, 4 liters a day for, I like to go for at least the first 90 days, just to make sure we're getting a really good steady state detoxification going on. And then you can begin to level off, at about 50% of your body weight in ounces, so that could be then from 2 to 3 liters a day, but you'll find some fantastic results where you're at full hydration. One of my first results was a lot more like physical energy. Because you have it over there, I used to race in 8s when I was in college, and so I was on the crew. And before that, in high school, I was in track team. And having learned about Kangen water years later on, I realized to myself, I never drank as much water then as I do now. And I was an extremely highly competitive athlete, and, if you ever see the crew rowing in 8s, I get tired just thinking about it, But so we put a lot of output, and I wasn't drinking this much water then, So also you have to be a proper hydration, to get your body's full function. And now, when I drink the water, I find that my muscles, this is my experience, my muscles seem to flex up after I drink like maybe 2 liters of it or so. It's almost like the, I don't know if it's the ATP increase or the increase of hydrogen and the increase of hydration, but they'll flex as though I've done a workout. And I have
it's pumping that big glass beer flask.
Is that what it is?
Okay, so I feel the need to bring in a disclaimer. I got to disclaim, right? We don't diagnose, treat, prevent, cure any diseases. What we do is we give the body what it needs so the body can do what it's designed to do. So when we, what you said, Mr. Hope, earlier, we're not trying to alkalize the body, we're trying to detox the body. When we get these toxins out, then our cells can, thank you, Adrian, our cells can take a breather from being overwhelmed from all of this all of the environmental radiation and toxins and stress and, you know, everything that is happening these days that was not happening decades ago, right? So there's a whole, our bodies are really beyond their limits of natural antioxidant power. And so that's why we give it the help of detoxing and giving it some oxidative relief.
Okay.
Go ahead. I stimulated something.
That's it. So,
so we're going to have replays. Tracy, thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, you were saying before about weapons in weight warfare. I feel like I've got weapons in cancer warfare for myself as well with this, you know. You're helping with all that just by support. It's fabulous, really good.
Awesome. Thank you, love.
Thank you for having me. And as I said, I will learn more how to do all this and respond to things. I will.
You'll love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so we got to shut this down, Mr. Hope.
All right.
So thank you for joining us today on call number 390. And the replays are going to be available on Kangen Water Radio on Facebook and on Kangen Water Radio on YouTube. We actually have a link that you can request for our well, I've sent to everyone that I have contact information for. I've sent you the link to the Kangen Water Radio YouTube playlist that has right now 11 of our videos. It'll have 12 a little later today. But we've got 390 calls on our call topics log. So you can ask for that at KWNation7@gmail.com. That's KWNation7@gmail.com. When you do go to Facebook or YouTube and you find this information valuable, please like us, subscribe, all the things, comment, and make sure you look in the descriptions. I'm going to start linking either documents or resources in the descriptions of the YouTube videos. So we'll try to make it as valuable to you as possible. Mr. Hope, do you have the other ways people can find us around the globe?
Yes, good question. So if you need to give us a ring and it's offline or when we're not directly on our presentation here, that just give a call to, let's say if you're in the UK, it's going to be +44 is the country code over there, 0800 086 9793. That's 0800 086 9793. In the US, you can give us a call on our main Kangen Water Nation page. That phone number, that's 866-526-4368. That's 866-526-4368. And if you're over in Dubai, let me not leave anyone out. Hold 1 second, let me see if I can just pull up this line real quick. On our way out the door. And hopefully I've got it right here. And it's my friend. And it's going to open. Yeah, I sure do. Look at that. Look at that.
That was me.
That was you?
Yes.
Really?
I got skills.
Oh, look at you. Let me see if I can see the skills that you just put up. What did I see? What did I see? Oh, you put it on the, where do I see it? I saw it a second ago.
Down at the bottom.
Okay, wait. Let me come back to you. Oh, wait. Yeah, sure. So, actually, Dr. Singletary, just so you know, I'm not slipping. Stop. This will stop other screen from sharing. I'm going to switch something over.
Yeah, go ahead.
Coolness. I'm going to do like this. I'm going to do like that. Just so you know, I'm not entirely slipping. And so, and I've got to do my spelling errors, you know. But like I said, in the United States, that's 866-526-4368. In the UK, we're +44 is the country code, 0800-086-9793. Just give me a call, 0800-086-9793. And over in Dubai, the country code is +971-800-0184-589. That's 800-0184-589. And of course, we got websites in all the countries, Congo Water Nation in the USA, CongoWaterLondon.co.uk, and CongoWaterDubai.com over in the UAE. So come see us, come talk to us, ask us questions. We're here all week, and we'll see you again on the Congo Water Health Information Call live, Congo Water Radio.
We love you all.
We do. Cheers.
See you on Wednesday at 1 Eastern.
All the best.
Bye-bye.